Florida, known for its sunny beaches and bustling tourist hotspots, also faces a pressing issue: homelessness. According to the latest report, over 200,959 people experiencing homelessness in Florida. This number, while slightly lower than in previous years, accounts for about 7% of the entire homeless population in the United States. The 2023 homeless estimate by the Florida Department of Health further highlights this crisis, revealing that over 92,600 homeless individuals are unsheltered. These individuals live on the streets, in cars, or in other places not intended for human habitation. The remainder have found refuge in emergency shelters or transitional housing programs. A significant concern within this data is the demographic breakdown, particularly the number of children and young adults affected. Over 26,600 homeless individuals in Florida are under the age of 18, underscoring the vulnerability of this group. According to the 2023 point-in-time count, families with children make up roughly 24% of Florida's homeless population. Another layer to Florida's homelessness issue involves undocumented immigrants. The Pew Research Center's 2022 report estimates that approximately 970,000 undocumented immigrants reside in Florida, making up about 6.1% of the state's population. While the exact number of homeless undocumented immigrants is unclear, this group faces a higher risk of housing insecurity. Limited financial resources and barriers to securing traditional rentals increase their susceptibility to homelessness. Financial burden of homelessness. Florida has consistently allocated significant resources to combat homelessness. In 2018, the state allocated approximately $4 billion for homeless services, focusing primarily on shelters. This investment has steadily increased over the years. By 2022, data indicates that Florida was spending over $5.7 billion annually on homelessness, with sheltering costs comprising a substantial portion. Sheltering a single adult can cost more than $39,000 per year, while accommodating families can be even more expensive, with costs exceeding $78,000 in 2022. With tens of thousands of individuals relying on the shelter system each night, these expenses accumulate rapidly. The growing homeless population necessitates continued and increased investment. The Department of Homeless Services' proposed budget for the fiscal year 2023 reflects this demand, reaching $4.5 billion. This significant increase underscores the vast resources required to provide shelter for over 110,000 Floridians each night. Looking forward, estimating the exact cost of homelessness in Florida for 2024 is challenging. However, projections from the Budget Office suggest that the state might need an additional $1 billion in 2024 for homeless services beyond the initial budget. This implies a potential total expenditure exceeding $6 billion. Homeless crisis in major cities. Jacksonville's most recent point-in-time count in November 2023 estimated over 17,200 homeless individuals. While Jacksonville has made some progress, with Duval County's homeless rate dropping by 9% between 2018 and 2019, the issue of unsheltered individuals remains significant. A PIT count from 2013 revealed that 39% of the homeless population in Jacksonville were unsheltered on any given night, underscoring the need for more emergency shelters and transitional housing programs. In January 2024, Orlando conducted its most recent PIT count, identifying 20,258 homeless individuals, marking a 5% increase from the previous year. This count includes those in shelters, transitional housing, and unsheltered individuals. The demographics of Orlando's homeless population are telling. The 2024 PIT count showed that 35% were families with children, highlighting the vulnerability of entire households. Additionally, 21% of individuals were identified as having disabilities and experiencing prolonged homelessness, pointing to the complex interplay between homelessness and other social issues. Miami's latest estimate for its homeless population comes from the Florida Department of Health, which reported 23,657 homeless individuals in 2023. This number includes both sheltered and unsheltered populations. Data from the Miami Homeless Trust revealed a 7% increase in homelessness between 2021 and 2022, indicating a growing issue. Several factors contribute to Miami's homeless population, notably the high cost of living, particularly housing, which poses a significant challenge for low-income individuals and those with limited resources. Migrants are particularly affected, with the Migration Policy Institute estimating around 192,000 undocumented immigrants in Miami. Migrants often face significant barriers in securing safe and affordable housing due to rising costs and difficulties navigating the rental system, especially for those with limited English proficiency or unfamiliarity with local practices. This often results in overcrowding and precarious living conditions, exacerbating the challenges faced by this vulnerable population. Life on the streets. The Florida sun bore down on Mercy's back, turning her sundress into a damp, uncomfortable second skin. Tourists streamed past, their laughter a cruel contrast to the persistent rumble in her stomach. On the shimmering Miami beach, paradise was nothing more than a glittering facade, and Mercy was invisible on its wrong side. Mercy had been living on the streets for 2 years, ever since a fire consumed her rundown apartment and everything she owned. Social Security barely covered her medication, let alone rent in a city obsessed with luxury and glamour. The beach, once a place of joy, had become her reluctant bedroom. The days were long. Mercy spent her time weaving through the crowds of tourists, her plea for help written on a hand-painted cardboard sign. Kindness came in the form of a few coins, while suspicion and indifference often met her with cold stares. Hunger was a constant companion. As dusk painted the sky with fiery hues, a melody floated through the salty air. It was Miguel, a wiry man with a shock of white hair and an old guitar. His voice, roughened by years on the streets, wove tales of love and loss that struck a chord with Mercy. They shared a meager meal of scavenged scraps, finding silent camaraderie in their shared hardship. One night, their fragile peace was shattered by a group of teenagers looking for cheap thrills. They began harassing a young couple, and adrenaline surged through Mercy's weak frame. Years of fending for herself had honed her instincts. She yelled, her voice surprisingly strong, and the teens, startled by her unexpected defiance, slunk away. The shaken couple, a young doctor and his nurse girlfriend on vacation, approached Mercy. They listened to her story with respect, not pity. The doctor offered to treat her chronic cough, and the nurse gave her a warm blanket and a granola bar. It wasn't much, but for Mercy it was a lifeline. News of the incident spread, and soon Mercy became a reluctant guardian angel. Tourists, touched by her courage, sought her out, not with handouts, but with conversation and a sense of community. The invisible woman became a symbol of resilience. One day, a familiar face appeared. A social worker who had tried to help Mercy before. This time, there was a glimmer of hope. Affordable housing through a veterans program. Mercy had a forgotten stint in the Navy. Offered a path back to a life she had almost given up on. Leaving the beach was bittersweet. The sand that had been her reluctant bed was now a canvas of memories. Miami Beach, once a symbol of harsh reality, now held the promise of a new beginning. As Mercy walked away, the melody of Miguel's guitar, a bittersweet serenade to a life both harsh and beautiful, followed her into the hopeful Florida sunset.